Compson Management Tools, or CMT, is a software application for knowledge capture, scenario planning, and decision making. The focus of this short video is on decision making. CMT supports two types of decision making: option-driven and criteria-driven. This video demonstrates option-driven decision making. To demonstrate this capability, I will be using a sample project that focuses on buying a car. The decision is to pick the most appropriate car to buy. Before we start, option-driven decision making, I would suggest, is what humans do when they make decisions. Humans constantly apply judgment as they move through their day. They are constantly deciding how to spend their time and money. They are considering short and long-term impacts, the need to accomplish tasks, while at the same time considering safety, effort, desire, and so forth. They weigh different options and consider the pros and cons in order to make decisions. This is different from criteria-driven decisions. One might use criteria-driven decision-making if you are choosing between items using the same criteria. Selecting a family car may be more effective using criteria-driven decision-making because it allows you, the customer, to identify the criteria most important to you. Option-driven decision-making may be the approach chosen by the automobile salesperson as they are trying to highlight specific features of one car that may not be available in another. In this case, we will be using option-driven decision-making to select from between a small selection of cars. Option-driven decision-making may be more appropriate for selecting between buying a car, taking a long vacation, investing in the stock market, or replacing the roof on your house. In these choices, the reasons behind each of the options would be different. We will start in the CMT drawing mode with the data already loaded into the computer. In this case, we have the top-level issue defined as what should be considered when choosing an automobile. The objective in this brief demo is to select between a Ford, Hyundai, Jeep, and a Porsche. These are the positions or options that we want to select from. In this case, we will treat all of them equally and let the weighted arguments determine the selection. Navigating around the screen, we can see the arguments that we will use to make the decision. I will weight the arguments, pros and cons, for each car. To do this, I will use a feature built into CMT that allows an interactive weighting process that shows these weights graphically. In this case, I am showing the numbers or weighted values along the right side, but it may be appropriate to hide these numbers as some people get fixated on specific numbers. Setting weighted values is an attempt to articulate your judgment, and the application of judgment is more of an image processing function. So setting judgment values graphically actually removes the requirement to translate from a mental image to numbers and back to a graphical rendition. Once all the arguments have been weighted, I will click on the decision-making icon and collect the information I want to see in my final report. The raw data shows I treated all brands equally in this case. The adjusted data shows that Ford was the vehicle of choice, followed closely by Hyundai. Porsche and Jeep were rejected. I have the option of including more graphical background material in the final report. A textual report is generated with a number of graphs that provide background material for the decision. While CMT provides a documented decision, the user is still responsible for that decision. It is based on the weighted arguments, and if the decision is not what was expected, then more arguments or re-weighted arguments must be supplied. The intent of CMT is to provide background material that explains why a decision was made. If you don't like the decision, then change the data. But just remember that the reason is visible. So if you weight the arguments to get the system to choose a Porsche, then it will be visible to others.